So, welcome to DOREEN'S African Experiences, and it's been a while, but I guarantee you, I'm not lost. I've been quite busy. I know the channel is DOREEN'S African Experiences, so that simply means I'm gonna show you all my experiences. And one of my experiences on farming, yeah, and my first try run was for the beans, narrow bean 3. Narrow bean 3. Locally, it has a general name referred to as Nambale. So I don't know about the rest of the countries what they call it, but in Uganda, that's what they locally call it. Now, this is the funny thing, right? When you're starting out to farm, right? Everybody tells you, you must do this, you must do that, you must do this. And I'm telling you, half of these things that these people are telling you, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. I know half of my friends told me farming is a rich man's job. It's a rich man's enterprise. You must have money to be a farmer. I don't think that's true. Other people will say you must have money, or rather, you must have huge land to farm. But I also disagree because I don't have land. I mean, land that big, you know. And if you want to do commercial farming, yeah, you should try small. Start small, at least 1 acre, right? And start study what you're farming. I also don't advise people to farm many things. Look for one thing that resonates with you, something that you really around, farm this, farm that. Maybe if you're doing it for your homestead, that's okay. You can have a little bit of matoke, some rice here, or some groundnuts here, some beans here. But if you are doing it financially, I advise you to pick one thing. Stick to it, become an expert at it. Let me give you an example. I started with beans. That was my trial run. I did about 4.5 acres. You won't believe what I had to go through. See, my beans flourished, as you see. They came out so perfectly. I was impressed. I was proud because I targeted the seasons just right. You must also remember, seasons are different these days. Things are so different. When we were growing up, right, we were so specific. It will rain in January and the sun will be out in Feb. And then more sun will be out. It was so specific, right? But right now, yeah, we are living in a new world where the weather is so different. When it was so much, it's supposed to be rain in January. Now you have sun in January. You're like, what? So if you're continuing, you have to make the internet your friend. You see these weather channels, they're not always wrong 100%. They have some right and they have some wrong. But you must equip yourself with knowledge based on current times. Now, when I was starting out my beans, right, I was told, hey, you people, you don't know. When we're growing up in my country, we don't have, mentally, you know, when someone says, I want spaced holes, it comes naturally to you when you're digging the holes. It's natural. Spacing comes natural. Mentally, I don't know how it is, but that's how, when we're growing up, we know. And then when someone says, no, I don't want spaced holes, you also know what to do. You know, I want certain lines. It comes naturally for us because that's how we've grown up. We've grown up like that. Now, you go to the internet and someone is going to say, buy some string, put it that.
Yeah.
You're doing it all wrong because that's not what you're used to. That's what you don't. That's not what you don't know.
Tebaliko.
Ndibize watanga ndi ku recordinga ngenda kujawe uwo. Yeah, someone has maize brand for my chickens. They stopped by the farm to say
Yes.
that they have the
They have maize brand.
Yeah, but nonetheless,
The
yeah.
hustle is real.
Let's proceed. So basically, I'm just gonna tell you, if you are planting beans like I did, for example, narrow bean 3, narrow bean 2, narrow bean 1, yeah, those narrow beans don't climb. If they're spaced, well spaced, they don't climb. But I learned the hard way. If you space them right, they don't climb. But if you don't space them, I swear to God, they'll climb. Who knew that these beans climb? But remember, they're only going to climb if the spacing
Limited.
is wrong. You know, if they're too close.
If they're too close, cramped.
Also try, yeah, at first when you're starting out to farm, so people say plant one bean in a hole. Others say plant 2 beans in a hole, right? And because me, I was a first time farmer, I was scared to plant 1 or 2 beans. I said, what if it doesn't come back? What happens? I can't go through this again. I'm already paying labor, crazy money.
So you plant a few.
I planted 3. 3 per hole and they all came back. Now, if you do that, the people who are going to do the pruning for you, they have to take some of them out.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. The seeds are healthy, right? They are healthy, they're not punctured, they don't have any holes on them. Because you can't plant seeds that have holes on them. Then they won't come back. Usually they have a weevil in them.
Yes.
When it comes to beans, beans are like that. So you have to look for someone that's selling healthy seeds, no holes, and they don't have to be too old.
Okay.
If they're too old, they're also going to give you a hard time. If they're too new, that means they're not dry enough sometimes. So you have to look for moderate. Space your beans, and if you don't want to space them, put at least 1 or 2 seeds in. As long as they're healthy, they'll come out. The other thing, even when you plant your beans, make sure that your beans, right, are planted at least in a week where you're going to experience rain. It's not just beans, it's anything you plant.
Yes.
Make sure in that particular week
it's the initial
you
good start.
have rain. Even if it's 1 heavy rainfall, that's enough to give you a starter. That's enough. Even if you go the whole week and maybe the second week without rain, but you expect rain in the 3rd week,
okay,
you're still good.
You're good.
It's like the day I planted my beans, the following day I had the heaviest rain, and that gave my beans a jump start.
Yes.
You know, they
To
give it
germinate.
a jump start. When they come up healthy immediately.
Yes.
And now there is fertilizers like DOP.
Yep.
DOP is very complicated. If you don't know how to use it, you could lose everything. This is where farming becomes complicated. You sprinkle the DOP seeds on, and maybe they'll destroy, or maybe they won't. Because there is a capacity, there is a quantity. Maybe you put one cover, right? And then you're supposed to put 2, and then it's crazy. So for me, I use the liquid fertilizer to 20 liters. Quite specific. I prefer that. I'm not very much a big fan of seed fertilizers. They freak me out.
Okay.
So what did I learn? One, I learned that there is no specific way to plant.
Yes.
Yeah? You just have to know what you want. You don't have to give these beans a lot of spacing, but you have to put very few in a hole.
Yes.
Right? You have to understand what type of beans you're growing. You also have to understand what these beans are for. You know, if they're commercial use, as soon as they come out, start looking for a market. You know, and you have to harvest. If you want dry beans, harvest them while they are ripening. Growing up, we used to wait for them to dry in the garden, but that's a scam now. Harvest them as soon as they ripen.
Yes, to prevent the loss.
You can dry them yourself. Yeah, you can dry them yourself, because when you wait and they've ripened and it rains, they're just going to grow.
Sprout. Yeah,
they're just going to grow. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I took so long
And
to
you could
harvest.
take a loss.
I lost so much money, and that's how farming is. And the reason why I advise you to look for one particular product to grow. You know, if it's maize, if you've advanced in maize, grow maize. Also study the soil. Some soils are very good with certain things and not so good with other things.
Yes.
The next season, I've planted groundnuts, because after a lot of experimenting, I realized that groundnuts are the best thing. They have a very higher chance at giving you maximum harvest. So that's what I went for. And if it so comes out that groundnuts are indeed the best alternative. I'll grow them 3 seasons consecutively, and then I'll leave the land to rest.
To rest.
For at least a year.
3. Okay.
A year. Because this is a business.
Mm-hmm.
So if I let it rest for a year,
You can come back to
then
it.
I come back with more groundnuts.
Yes, yes.
That's the funny thing.
That's a good thing about renting, no?
Yeah, because you can leave it for the person.
Yes.
They can do with it as they please, or they can just wait for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and land renting is cheap depending on which location you're at, because some people per acre will charge you 250 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Others, depending on how big or location, they'll go up to 500K a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, per acre.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget that locations matter. Some people even charge 100K per year per acre. So the farther out you go, the cheaper, right? So the ones that gave me last time.
Oh, shit.
This is a season of fruits, man.
Wow.
It's
Plentiful. Okay, so there's more here, right?
Yeah.
Wow, so there's
There is
quite a lot.
groundnuts all over.
It probably is nearly 2 acres. This is avocado.
They're huge, all the way to the ground. Look at them. Hanging down.
You gonna do the outro?
So basically, when it comes to growing beans, you don't need to have so many people to do it, depending on how much time. Also, I wouldn't advise you to spray your land. If you're going to spray your land with pesticide, you know that the weed master or anything that dries up the grass, you have to give it at least 3 months before you plant. Yes, because when you're planting, yeah, it should actually take longer, but then because the season is onto you, these things come at a point and destroy your crops. So try to look for virgin land, plow it yourself, and then you start the planting period. Now, when these people are pruning out the weed, or the weeding, you have to make sure that they are very gentle with these beans, and don't weed when the flowers are out. You destroy the beans. Oh, it's impossible for them not to touch the flowers. And every time the flower drops, because they're very tiny, they will drop if anybody knocks them, even accidentally. That means you're losing a lot of harvest, because it's through the flowers that you get the rest of the beans. Now, when you're spraying, you have to measure perfectly. Whether you're spraying for pests, insects, or fertilizers. The timing, there is no perfect timing, but for me, I wait for at least 6 leaves to come out. 6 leaves, those are fertilizers, right? Maybe 2 to 3 weeks after, then I spray for pesticides. And then when the flower comes out, then I spray the fertilizer again. That could take another 2 to 3 weeks in between, depending on the period of time. Yeah, that's what I suspect. Anyway, I'm going to attach everything I used within so you can try and watch. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share.